All right, well, it's about that time. It's about 3 o'clock, and I'm going to go ahead and dive in. So, welcome to another weekly live stream journaling session. And I'm still working in a little tiny, well, tiny is, I guess, a relevant term, but a small Stillman and Burn book, just kind of trying to wrap that up. But anyway, I appreciate you tuning in. So, if you are tuning in and you want to say hi in the comments, it's always great to see who's out there. And if you want to let us know where you're tuning in from, that's always good as well. So anyway, I'm not really sure what I'm going to do today in the book. It's been a busy day. I haven't really had a chance to sit down to kind of think about what I'm going to do. So I'm going to figure it out here live on the live stream. So anyway, as always, if you want to grab materials and work along with me or just kind of work on your own thing, that's always great. So anyway, let me go ahead and switch it over and figure out what I'm going to do. All right, so I've got my usual suspects. I've got my paint up here. I've got my book, got some paint brushes, a pen. I even have a Inktense water soluble pencil. And so last time I was adding some more words to the back. So trying to start to figure out the text, the narrative part, the writing part through these final pages. And I didn't get all the way through, and I'm not really sure what all I want to say on these pages, but yeah, so today it's just I'm not really sure. That's the thing. It's like I'm just not really sure what I'm gonna do. It's been a busy day. Just working on things here in the studio, and then it's like next thing I know, it's like, oh, it's almost time to do the live stream, and there's still just so much stuff to do. But anyway, I'm not 100% certain what I want to do, but one of the things that I've been thinking about is the back of this is kind of missing something that the front has. So if I go back here, on some of the pages, I did the crack image, and that all came about, this crack idea came about from some little pieces that I was working on. Actually, it's where I got the theme emergence from. So if you haven't tuned in or to those early ones, I had done a series of small drawings and paintings where I kind of created these little cracks. And so the idea that things were cracking apart and something new was emerging. And so that sort of crack image is in some, not every page, but it's in a, here it kind of sneaks in and the edges kind of comes across here. So I just kind of feel like, oh, it might be interesting to do some of that as I head into the back of the book. So I think that's where I'm going to start, and then we'll kind of see where things go from there. So I've got a dark blue, the deep indigo Inktense pencil. And I think I'm going to start with this page. I think kind of having it maybe sort of kind of come over and wrap around. So often the themes that I explore kind of come from the work. And like I said, the theme of emergence started with a series of drawings and paintings that I had been working on. And it was just sort of, I was experimenting and playing around with them and just trying to do something new. It's like I've felt pretty stagnant with things over the recent past. And so this was back, I think, in like January, that I kind of started doing some of these crack images. And it was just simply this, like I said, this notion of something cracking open or breaking apart and something emerging from it. And so I that word emergence came out, and it's been something that I've been exploring. And like I've said, this is my emergence journal. So this whole book is about that theme. So sometimes people kind of wonder like what my working process is. Do I develop ideas in the journals, and then that goes into the finished work, or what is that process? And for me, a lot of times that process is kind of a back and forth. I kind of work back and forth. I've got things going on in my journals, and then things going on in my artwork. And so there might be an idea from one of my journals, and I'm like, oh, okay, I've been doing this in my journal. Let me make artwork about it. But then the opposite is true. It might be like, oh, this idea came up in my art. Let me go ahead and figure out what that means for, uh, in my journal. So anyway, let's go ahead. I'm going to dry this before I turn the page. So I'll mute it. All right, and then I can continue on this side. All right. All right, so the crack kind of works its way in. Just trying to think if I want to make it bigger. Kind of feeling like I want it to come down this way a little bit. So I see a few people have joined us. So I've just been kind of adding a crack image to a couple pages here near the back. I did this near the beginning of the journal, back probably in May. And so just kind of thinking about that, still thinking about that idea of repetition, of repeating ideas from the front to the back. It's not something I'm doing on every page, but it's something that I did in the beginning and did it on a few pages, and now I'm just sort of picking up the idea again and bringing it into the back part of this. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and hit this with the hair dryer, so I'll mute it. I find it really interesting. This creates a lot of contrast the real dark blue. And it reads as kind of a crack, reads as kind of a tree branch. I kind of like that sort of duality, that ambiguity with some of that. So anyway, go ahead and flip back here. This could be a good space for that to happen. Maybe I'll try to open it up a little bit. And then I wanted to kind of come back on this side. Okay, so I like how that kind of spreads over this spread onto here and then wraps around onto here. All right, let's hit that with the hair dryer. kind of feeling like I want to bring this book to a resolution fairly soon. Just I want the end pages, these back pages here, to feel as resolved as the front. So that's kind of the challenge. It's so easy to sort of just like keep flipping through from the front and adding more and more to those pages. So I mean, I think some of the pages back in this part of the book are getting there, but I want to, that's kind of like, like my goal was like, probably won't be for a few more weeks or so. Just kind of depends on how much I accomplish. And I really like that contrast between this very organic shape. It's organic, the rest of it's very geometric, very rectangular. And then also the color and the value really makes it stand out. and these last couple little bits here. Hit that with the hair dryer. So Alicia asked if I would, in the comments, if I'd be doing another book after this. I don't have another small book like this, but I do have, I'll probably go back to my big journal. And so when I first started doing the weekly live streams, I was working in one of my big ordinary book. And but one of the things that I've been doing is I've been working in zines. I think I may have mentioned this last week. And so that might be something else to kind of think about too. But yeah, so, I've got this kind of crack image coming through a few of the pages. And like I said, kind of echoing some of that from the front here. So just kind of looking back here and kind of thinking what else I might do. I mean, it's like, it's interesting contrast between like how rich layered this is compared to, some of these pages back here. Like I said, this one's like, getting pretty layered, but there's definitely a different feel to it. Hmm. It's just kind of flipping through, trying to think about what I might add next. Not really sure. I think I'm gonna go back. Let me grab some pens. Yeah, Francis, you're right. I do have some of the image transfers. I might think about some of that. But I've cut that one there. I don't have any tape transfers. Maybe that's something to think about. Maybe I'll do that at another point. I think I'm just gonna kind of add some embellishments. That's the thing. Sometimes you get to a point where you're just like, I'm feeling a little bit stuck. I'm feeling a little bit like uncertain what to do. And that happens a lot. Um, and so sometimes I just find like, I just need to just sit and work. Um, there's a quote that's attributed to Picasso, and that quote is inspiration does exist. It just has to find you working. And so I like that notion that, like, even if you're not feeling inspired, even if you're not really sure what you want to do, if you don't really have much of an idea of like, oh, what can I do to really really transform this piece or make it into something else. um so if you're just sort of like, I don't know what I want to do, then just sit down and do something small. And so that's kind of what I'm trying to do today. I'm just feeling a little bit uninspired, I guess. But it's the accumulation of all these kind of small acts. I always find that pretty fascinating. It's another reason just to sort of just do it, as Nike says. So as I started scribbling and kind of shading and embellishing around these little rectangles, I did have a thought. And I just kind of thought like, oh, it might be interesting to put something inside of those little rectangles. I mean, they stand out because I shaded around them with with the blue, but I think if I grab, let me see what I got over here. All right, so I'm going to grab, this is a Pitt artist pen, just like the other ones, but it has a brush tip. So it makes kind of thicker marks. And so I'm just going to fill in those. Might even do it with the words over here. So just brings a little bit of yellow, and it's going to mix with some of that blue, add, kind of some greens. It does, I mean, it will pick up, I don't know if you can see, like the very tip of it gets a little dark. And so it does pick up the water soluble materials. So it's just something to kind of think about and be mindful about. So now I've done that, I might kind of just flip through and see if there's other places that I could do that. Just to bring in, it's like I've done it with paint and pencil before. Nice thing about using the pen is that it's a very intense ink, a very intense color. So I think I might bring it in here. So again, kind of making that link between the beginning of the book and the back of the book. All right. I think I'm gonna call it a day. My energy's kind of feeling a little bit depleted. Like I said, it's been kind of a busy day, and I hadn't really had a chance to sit down and really think about what I wanted to do in here today, but did a little bit of something. And sometimes that's, it's like that's what you do. It's like, it's like, oh, I don't feel like doing much, but you sit down and you do a little bit. So anyway, so it's just gonna keep evolving. And like I said, I don't know how much longer um I'll be working in this book. It seems like it's going to take a while for it to kind of fill up. I know a couple of you mentioned how you really enjoy seeing the book and how it's evolving and seeing how I'm kind of approaching it as a whole instead of like individual pages. So I appreciate that. Um, anyway, so yeah, I mean, I'm going to continue working in it. So I'll be back again. Actually, I won't be here next week or the week after. So I've got a couple things coming up where I'll be traveling. So I'm going to take a break for a couple weeks from doing the live stream. So it'll probably be closer to the end, closer to the end of the month that I'll be back. So anyway, I appreciate you being here. And as always, if you have questions or comments or concerns, go ahead and pop them in the comments. I always try to look at them. So anyway, yeah, so thank you so much. And as always, happy creating. Appreciate you being here.